Hello there, I'm Blackbright, as you probably know by now. Welcome to my channel. You're welcome to subscribe. Please do subscribe because it does help my channel grow. You're welcome to put the thumbs up, the thumbs down, and I think this is going to get a lot of thumbs down. I've just got a funny feeling. You're welcome to comment with my subscribers and you're welcome to share. Now, I wanted to talk about the Black Bachelor. I wanted to talk about him because as a black woman, it kind of raises my expectations to see a black bachelor on TV. Now, there have been 40 seasons over 18 years, and there's never been a black bachelor. And apparently there's been a petition out there for 85,000 with 85,000 signatures. It's a shame that it's had to take a petition to get a black person on The Bachelor. But I'm not jumping up and down. You know why? Because if the Black Bachelor is anything like the Black Bachelorette, she's not going to do black people any favours. She's just not. It's sad to say. Rachel Lindsay, she was a Black Bachelorette, and she said the platform for the Black Bachelorette, the platform it gave her as the Black Bachelorette is to find somebody outside her race. So she didn't want a black man. And I must admit, the two black men, there was two black guys on there, they didn't do themselves any favours. But apart from that, she'd already decided when she went onto the Black Bachelorette, that she wanted to date outside her race. So then it begs the question, why is the hype about a black bachelor or a black bachelorette if it's just to rub your nose in it? Because that's effectively what's happening. They're not finding authentic black people who want black women. A lot of the times, the black men that they have, okay, not necessarily, well, they've never had a black lead in the Bachelorette, but okay, take me out, for example. Week after week after week after week, into month and after month, you have these two little black women on there. I mean, they must be gluttons for punishment, but you have these two black women on there. Nobody don't want them. And they're on there, keeping their light on, regardless of who it is, hoping that someone will take them out. Do they take them out? No. Even when there's black men on there, they don't take them out. And even when they're the last ones standing, they don't get taken out. And the funny thing is that I think a couple of weeks ago, a black guy chose a black woman. And I would bet my bottom dollar that the producer said to him, look, we've had these couple of black women on there. They've been on there for months and nobody hasn't asked them out. Will you do us a favour, just so it doesn't look like we're discriminating? Would you ask her out for us? And I only say that because he did ask her out in the end, but his first love light, because they give them an opportunity to look around the room and see who they like the best, who they're most attracted to. And it's a white woman. Now, if he was black-minded, his love at first light would have been a black woman. If he was that way inclined. And, his friends were white. And that kind of tells me that is affiliation. And I'm not knocking people for who they like. But I think there's this misnomer that just because you're black, it's representing black people. But we have a lot of black people who are Guinness tops. We have a lot of black people who don't like black people. They don't like black people because they don't like themselves. So they choose white people because that gives them a little bit of kudos, or they feel it gives them more kudos. Maybe they're just not attracted to black people. But my point is that when they hype it all up and say, oh, we've got this black bachelor coming on, and all these black women are thinking, oh yeah, I've got a chance. It would not surprise me, even if they had an 85% ratio of black and a 15% ratio of white, which is what they normally do in the reverse when it's a white person. When it's a white person, they normally have 85% white and then 15% black. So if a black ratio was 85% black and 15% white, I would bet your bottom dollar that one of the white women get chosen. Unless that man is a radical. And they don't normally have radicals on the show. They don't normally in these type of shows. And probably somebody who's radical or somebody who's authentic isn't going to go on one of those shows to find a woman anyway. And a woman, the type of women that tend to go on those shows tend to be quite superficial. And, they kind of fit that negative stereotypes of, not brawling, but they have that mannerism about them. That's not very attractive. And does not represent the majority of black women. And so when you get black guys saying, oh, I don't want a black woman because she's loud and she's, she doesn't represent us very well and she's not refined. I mean, you don't find white men who go out with black women saying that. White men who marry black women aren't intimidated by them. So why is it that black men, these particular black men who prefer white women, think that black women are intimidating? So, or they're just not attracted to them. And I sometimes wonder, is it because of their parent? Is it because of their mother? Is it because of the female relatives in their family? Is it because of their siblings? Because normally, when a man chooses a woman, it's based on his role models. If he's had a positive role model, he'll go for somebody who's like that role model. If he's had negative role models, he'll go for the other side. So, what else was I going to say? So, having a mixed race man as the first black bachelor, it's quite tricky because where does his allegiances lie? With his white mother, with his Filipino father. I mean, he attended Black Lives Matter, so is he an evolved black man? It'd be very, very interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. He actually said that he wants all races and all types of women to come out of those limousines. So he's not fixating himself on one type of woman at all. And I do not imagine looking at him. I mean, looking at him, you can't judge a book by his cover. But, it's hard to say that just because he's got white friends, he's going to choose a white woman. But all I'm saying is that, when you see a black man and he rejects all the black women, it's reinforcing the negative stereotype. It's reinforcing the fact that black women are not attractive. And sometimes it's just based on appearances. Maybe the black man doesn't like a woman with a weave or with the makeup or this or that. Maybe it's as simple as that. But it can't be every time they choose somebody to represent black people on these shows, they have no allegiance to their blackness. And that's my issue. I don't understand where the authentic black people are. Now, I understand an authentic black man, seeing, a lot of black women and a lot of white women, and, he's talking to both and trying to feel his way and trying to see who he clicks with. But a lot of those black men that are on these shows, they don't even give the black woman a chance. A lot of the times. And when they do, you kind of get the feeling it's kind of a token gesture to make themselves look good, to make it look as though they're not discriminating, to make it look as though, oh yeah, I do like black women, but, I just so happen to choose this one. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting, The Bachelor. And we'll be able to tell who he's drawn to. So all I'm saying is that I don't know why they're making this big hype about the Black Bachelor and how they've been asking for this for ages. I mean, if you go by the one-drop rule, yes, he is black, because with the one-drop rule, that's with Jim Crow, with the one-drop rule, any ounce of blood black blood in you makes you black. It'd be interesting to know whether Matt James, identifies with black out of a designation because they've labelled him black, whether his experience is black, whether he chooses to be black, or whether it's just based on his colour. You know, as an individual, because he's mixed race, it'd be interesting to know whether or not where he sees himself fitting in there, or whether they chose him just because his colour, because you have to audition for these parts. And like I said, if you're following the one drop rule, came out in, I think, when did one drop rule come out? 1920s. The one drop rule with Jim Crow. And that meant 1 ounce of black blood meant you're black. And even if 7 generations of grandparents, that means your grandparents, your mother's grandparents, your grandparents, 7 times. You've got 7 white grandparents, but the 8th grandparent has a drop of black blood. You're black, according to the one drop rule. Hypo descent, they call it. So I was just wondering, do the black men that they choose? I think producers, and this is what is weird, I think producers, because they just see black as colour, they automatically assume that they're going to represent blackness. It's like when they say, oh, get more black people on the police force. And they think that because they've got more people on the police force, black people on the police force, they're going to protect black people. But normally, the black people on the police force are the ones that give black people a hard time. And, you know, and it's like when you find black managers, they tend to give black people such a hard time because, you know, it's like they don't want to be seen as what they call it positive reinforcement. You know, when just because you're black, they don't want it to be seen, oh, because I'm black, it doesn't look like I'm going to favour my black people. So I'm going to show them, the rest of the people on the panel, that, you know, I'm going to give them a hard time. So when you're dealing with black people who are not authentically black, or who have insecurities, or who have their own agenda, and who use their blackness just to advance themselves, and they don't give a toss about black people, then we're going down a slippery slope with regard to representation, because really, these people aren't representing black people. They're just reinforcing the negative stereotype of black people. And then it's being endorsed by a black person to make it look worse. Just my opinion. Shoot me. So when I first heard about Matt James being the first black bachelor, I immediately checked to see if he was black by the one drop rule definition, or whether he was an unmixed of African black. I discovered his mother was white, his father is Filipino, and he was born in America. He said he is going to be led by his mother's values. In America, you have or had the one drop rule, 1920s. That meant anyone who had the one drop of black blood was considered black. So that led me to ask the question, is Matt James black by colour, choice, or experience? In America, any trace of blackness means you're black. To someone who has 7 white grandparents, that person is called an octoroon, which means 7 generations of grandparents were white, but the 8th generation had a big bit of black blood in them, so they'd still be black. So, like I said, I'm not quite sure if Matt James is an evolved black person, but the thing is, I think it's unfair. Well, not necessarily. I don't know if unfair is the right word, but do mixed race people have a choice on their delineation, on their classification? Do they have a choice? It's almost like they're told that they're black. You know, why can't they just be mixed race? But they're actually told they are black. So therefore, they have to fall in that category. How do they feel? Do they want to side on one side as opposed to the other? Where do they feel they belong? If they weren't designated to the black group, where would they see themselves fitting in? And that's what I mean. It's hard. It's hard for them because this Matt James, he's mixed race. Because he's got dark skin, he's considered black, and he's now representing black people. Black people have an expectation of him, which is going to put pressure on him as a black person. But he's mixed race, so he doesn't need to have any affiliation to any. He doesn't need to side with anybody. He can side with whoever he wants. So why didn't they say we've got Matt James, the first mixed race bachelor? He would have been representing all the mixed race out there. Who's representing them? Yes, you have Tiger Woods, who's calling himself a Cabra Nation. He's not calling himself mixed race. And you do have mixed race people who are celebrities, but they're not called mixed race, are they? So don't the mixed race want their role model? Don't they want somebody who's going to represent them? Instead of it always being on the black side? I'm just putting it out there. Probably, ruffling a lot of feathers. But I just don't think it's fair or right to say, okay, you've got the first black bachelor, and we don't know where his allegiances lie. Does it matter? I don't know. I think it only matters because they make such a big deal out of it, all this big expectation. If they had just said Matt James, Bachelor, 2021 on the 25th season, you would have just thought, oh yeah, oh my God. You would have just looked at him, probably looked up his background and said, oh, he's a mixed race guy. That's great. Let's see which way it goes. But they don't do that. They kind of fill you with garbage and all this bloody hype. He wouldn't have lost integrity if he says he's mixed race. So why can't they say the first mixed race bachelor? That means he's being authentic. I don't know. That Rachel, she married a guy called Brian Abasola. He was bloody good looking. I'll give him that. Yeah, and they're still married, which is good. I think they got married I think this was in 2019, that series, with 2020. So it's not that long ago. So I'm not saying that just because you're black, you must choose a black woman. What I'm saying is that if they have a person who is meant to be representing the black race, I'm saying they should be authentically black. But what is authentically black? That's a bit stupid, actually. What am I meaning to say? I think what I mean to say is that I prefer a unmixed black person who has a preference for black women. I think that's what I mean. Because authentically black doesn't mean anything. Because you can be authentically black and marry white people. You marry a white person or marry outside your race. So I think what I mean is a black person who has a preference for black women. And if they're putting on like the Black Bachelor, she has a preference for black men. And that the majority of the contestants, or whatever you call them, are the same colour as the person as the bachelor. As in Rachel, she should have really had, using this hype about, oh, I'm the first black bachelorette, the first black bachelorette. And yet, I'm sure there was only about six black men out of I think they have 25 that she chooses from. Yeah, I can't remember the figures. But it might even be the same for The Bachelor. So like I said, I know I'm going to get kicked in the teeth with this one because I'm not putting it over very well. But I think I'm giving it's food for thought, and I'm hoping it'll give me some comments. Let me see what else I've got here. Have I got anything else? I don't think I have. I think I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. You've got me on this one. Bye-bye.